Oh, here we go. Here we are we gonna do it. We're really gonna do it. And boom. I made it through Full Sail. What is up today, guys? Today we're gonna do it for the last time. My class review kind of Full Sail experience. This is my month 26? Month 26. Yeah, shoot. Project and portfolio 7. And you're like, what are you doing with this? There's gonna be some integration of some digitalness. Oh yeah, got some good stuff for you. And though this is my last experience video, it's not my last Full Sail video. I've got a few more things up my sleeve. We're going to talk about class information, assignments, tips, the teacher, and in short, then we're going to get on out of here. Wow, let's friggin' do this. Okay, this is Project and Portfolio 7. Now, going into this class, I was like, what? And I think I addressed this in my last video where each class so far, for the most part, I've known what I can expect. 3D foundations. I'm gonna learn the foundations of 3D stuff. Model creation. I'm gonna learn how to model something. Character animation. Hey, I think I'm gonna animate a character. You know, stuff like that. Portfolio 7. You know, it's not like the other portfolio classes, but it also kind of is. It ties everything together. Everything you've done from like portfolio at least 4 all the way up. It's gonna tie it all together in a nice little bow. And the goal of this class is to prepare you for the industry, make you ready for employers, give you tips and skills on how to make a good resume, cover letter, no matter what discipline you are. You're gonna finalize your demo reel. I'm in the animation discipline. If you guys don't know that by now, I'm in animation. That's kind of like the idea behind this class. You could have just titled this class Industry Ready or something along that line. You could have just titled it Demo Reel. That could have been the name of this class. But anyway, aside from that, you have 8 assignments throughout the month, those 8 being 4 discussions, 3 milestones, and 1 professionalism. And part of this digital integration that I mentioned is going to explain the following. Your due dates aren't on Sundays. They're not set. You don't have a set day of the week that they're always due on. They're friggin' scattered everywhere. So I'm gonna use Photoshop and you know, just a little grid with the days of the week above it and kind of just show you what I mean in terms of dates being all scattered. So yeah, there's that. Your critiques in this class are not videos. It's simply text. So for portfolio 4, 5, and 6, for animation anyway, I was able to receive a video back from my online professor, and he'd be like, let's watch it real quick. So we watch the animation, and then he's like, here's where you can improve, right? And he points it out. He's like, you know, frame 128 or something like that. That's not the case with this class. You're only gonna get text feedback. No videos, no sync sketch, no nothing, no quick time. It's only in the feedback section on FSO. So there's that for you. That's really it in terms of class information. So we're gonna go and move into the assignments now. So the assignments. Normally, in most classes, it's week 1 folder, week 2 folder, week 3 folder, week 4 folder. That was difficult. But no, they're called lessons. I'm theorizing that they're called lessons solely so that they do not confuse people with dates. Let me explain a little bit. Lesson 1 pretty much acts as a normal week 1. And then lesson 2 spills into week 3. Lesson 3 is due in the middle of week 3. And then lesson 4 is due kind of in the middle of week 4. So it's really strange. I feel like that was the most simple way I can explain it. I'm gonna further explain it when I get into the time aspect of the assignments. So anyway, let's talk about the week 1 discussion, branding. Okay, so for this assignment, you are making a business card and a DRG, which is a demo reel graphic. It's the thing you see at the beginning and end of demo reels. They're gonna give you a Photoshop template kind of document. There's nothing on it. It's just the size that it needs to be, and you just make it look nice. Establish your brand, establish your colors, add some contact information. They're gonna tell you what all to put on it, but you know, here's my business card and here's my DRG. Your demo reel graphic just has to be a picture, but I went ahead and like animated my time slider for my actual demo reel. So you'll see that here in a little bit. And also here's my end credit DRG. You just add contact information pretty much. Now something I did not do in week 1, but I would just recommend you do it just to get it out of the way, is also add your credits. So you're going to credit where your music came from, and you're going to credit where you got all of your rigs and models if you're animation. Pretty much, if you did not make what is in your demo reel, you have to give credit. Otherwise, everyone's going to assume you made it. So for me, I credited Feazel for the place where I got the models and the rigs. Made it simple. Again, I didn't do that in week 1, but I would recommend it. Just get it out of the way. I'm going to start laying out some due dates for you on this chart here. So I'm not going to put days April 1st, April 2nd, because it's just going to confuse some people. So I'm just going to put week 1 start, and you guys can figure it out from there. In week 1, your discussion is due Wednesday. I'm going to call it disc. Of course, by 11:59. So that's when that's due. There's no responses, no, like, you have to respond to 3 people or anything. Nothing on that. Business card and your demo reel graphic. That's it. And on that assignment, I got a 95 because my business card looks like the text might be a little small, so I'll adjust that when I get them printed. Now with milestone 1, you gotta keep in mind that's due Sunday. So, milestone 1 due. What is milestone 1? In milestone 1, you are collecting all of your animations that you did in previous classes that are good enough for your demo reel. You have a lot of steps to do, so let's just work through this. All I did to the actual scenes themselves was set up lights and render. Part of your grade on your demo reel is based on your image quality, so are your animations rendered, pretty much. And that's, like I said, that's going to be a big part of your grade, so they have to be rendered. On some of these, I didn't know exactly how long it was going to take to render them. Figured out which 4 animations I wanted. It doesn't have to be 4, but I just picked 4 because those are my best ones, and I was like, everything else is like, there's a big gap in quality between these 4 and everything else I've done. Maybe I'll do a video over all of the animations I made at Feazel. Let me know if you want that. Anyway, I chose my Portfolio 4 animation, trash can lid toss. I chose Portfolio 5 animation, door kick, animation production, that one I made there, with Mary, the Mary rig, called Knock Yourself Out. And then I chose the one I made in the previous month, project in Portfolio 6, called Froggy. I chose those 4. So I worked on my scene a little bit in week 4 of Portfolio 6. I added lights to Froggy, and I rendered it out. I was like, okay, that one's all good. I don't have to do anything to that. It's rendered, it's fine. So then I set up lights in the Mary Knock Yourself Out scene, and it took 8.5 hours to render. I then set up lights and rendered out my trash can lid toss scene, which took 14 hours to render. And then I set up the lights in my door kick scene, and that took 22 hours to render. And I was looking at the image quality requirements, and they have to be 1280 by 720. And I had done that for my 3 prior renders, but then I was like, my Froggy scene just doesn't look quite right. So I looked at the aspect ratio of how I rendered it, and it was like half the size it needed to be. So I said, okay, let's render this. And I remembered, I was like, oh shoot, it takes about 2 days to render for some reason. So I adjusted my lights, and I was like, oh goodness, it's still gonna take like 14 minutes to render 1 frame, and this thing is 230 frames long. I don't have time to re-render this. I'll just attach it to my first demo reel and hope that it's not an eyesore or a distraction or anything, because all the lights are white. And in my Knock Yourself Out and door kick and trash can scenes, I added colored lights, you know, like spice it up a little bit, make things look a little cool, not just boring white lights. So the Froggy one really stood out in week 1, but based on the time I had, I was like, I don't have time to re-render Froggy. That's just how it is. So my first lesson milestone demo reel submission had 3 new renders, which I was fairly happy with, and my Froggy one from week 4 Portfolio 6, which was about half the size, and I wasn't really thrilled with. Now, I could have gotten the Froggy one rendered in time if I would have started sooner. I started doing the discussion on Tuesday, and then I got it done like Wednesday morning, because I was spending so much time. I was like, I've got to make my discussion post amazing. I have to have an amazing business card and an amazing demo reel graphic. So I think I may have spent too much time on those, therefore I couldn't render out Froggy. And then another thing that was that's holding me back, I set up lights, rendered, and then I had to open up a new scene, set up those lights, render, then open up a new scene after that, set up those lights, render. And I came up with a solution to this in the next lesson, pretty much. Also, I did not plan my render times around when I work, because I work part-time. I'm a meat cutter at Sam's Club. I did not plan my render times around when I worked, so sometimes they ended while I wasn't home, so I couldn't just start a new scene, start setting up those lights and get that rendered. So I'll tell you all about that in lesson 2. So anyway, I've got my demo reel. Here it is, it's set. I've got my demo reel graphic, I've got my 3 new renders and my old render. What's next for milestone 1? Because yes, there's more. You then have to do a video review. And what is that? Okay, let me tell you, because you're asking. You're welcome. You let your demo reel play one time, and then you have to explain what you're gonna do to it. What are your plans to make this demo reel better? What you plan to fix? Is this industry level? Is this entry level? Are your assets good enough? Pretty much talk about it. What are your plans? Because they know you haven't touched these since Portfolio 4, 5, animation production, Portfolio 6, even though it was last month. They know that you turned them in and you're like, my hands are clean of them, I'm never touching them again. They know that, so they're like, how are you gonna make this better? So I went through, I let my demo reel play once, and in the instructions it says just let your demo reel keep playing, but just mute it. Instead of that, I just let the singular animations play on loop while I talked about them, and then I moved on to the next one, let that play on loop. So I guess you can do it either way. I just let my demo reel play entirely, and then I played my trash can lid on loop until I was done talking about that, played my door kick scene until I was done talking about that, and so on. And at the moment, I was like, I don't have any plans to change my trash can lid. I don't have any plans to change my door kick. I don't have plans to change Mary. I do want to fix a few things with Froggy though. I want to re-render it, make it better, because that's me addressing, hey, this is bad quality, it's not a good render, but I'm gonna act like, I know that. I know it's not looking good, so don't take the grade out. That's just me addressing the problem, hoping that they're like, okay, he knows that there's a problem. We're not gonna dock him on it or something like that, because he knows there's a problem. So that was my plan there. But I was like, I'm not changing any of those 3 animations, and I'm just simply gonna re-render this one. That was my plan. They had different plans for me. Because if you've seen my demo reel, my official demo reel that I posted, you'll know that things are quite different. So after you have your demo reel made, you then make your video review. After your video review is made, mine ended up around 6 minutes long. You then have to go to the 3D Arts forum page thing where you have your thread that you continued from Portfolio 6. You post your video review. You don't post your demo reel and your video review. I just posted my video review. It has my demo reel in it with all the music and fun stuff. Right after that ends, it goes right into the video review. Post that there, and then you list all the feedback you've gotten on each asset. So even if it's from way back when you did Portfolio 4, feedback given to you, and you either did or did not address it, you have to state the feedback that was given, and then state whether or not you did or did not address it and why. So you do that for each asset. I had like this much text explaining my assets and the feedback I got and how I corrected or did not correct it. That is pretty much it. And then you take that link to your thread, put it in a Word document, take that Word document, save it as a PDF, and you take that PDF, upload it to FSO, and then there's your milestone 1. Wow, that's a lot of work. So for milestone 1, I got a grade of 86%, and that's because there were some issues with my animation where they were like, you really need to fix this. So anyway, got an 86 on milestone 1, a 95 on my discussion branding, giving me a lesson 1 total, not a week 1, a lesson 1 total of 88.25. Not my strongest week, and I was like, oh my goodness, is this going to be a really difficult class? And it kind of is. I'm going to tell you my work time, my render time, and my total for lesson 1. My total work time was 13 hours 46 minutes. My total render time, and I only rendered 3 animations, was 44 hours and 30 minutes, giving me a total time that I had to find within this week to work and have things rendered is 58 hours and 16 minutes. Total. Granted, I only worked for under 14 hours. I still had to find that extra 44.5 hours to get things rendered. So this month is really about time management. Let's switch to a different color for lesson 2. Alright, so now let's go ahead and start talking about lesson 2. But lesson 2 start. So you start it on the Monday, like, you know, most week 2s start. So let's break it down. There's an awful lot. This is a very heavy lesson. Let's just go through it. We'll go step by step. There's a discussion. There's the milestone 2. There's an Artstation thing. There's a punch list thing. So it is crazy. We'll work through it together, okay? Let's do it. So the discussion, which is due Wednesday, right? It's called interview skills. I'm looking at my notes right over here. It's called interview skills. You talk about your experience in interviews, what has worked, what hasn't worked. Then you do the career module. I believe it's number 7, because this month you have career modules 5, 6, and 7. 7 is the interview skills one. You go through that, and then you talk about all of your experience in interviews, what has worked, what hasn't, what are you going to do to follow up, what did you learn from the module, and you write, like, I wrote a few paragraphs, I think. I've had 3 job interviews. I just talked about my experience and what I plan to do for the industry interviews that I get. So that's kind of it. Respond to 3 students and you go from there. That's pretty much your discussion. I got a 100 on it. I don't think they can dock you because it's just what have you experienced, what's kind of your plan, that kind of discussion. So I don't think anyone should get less than 100 as long as you try. I mean, anyway, that's pretty much that. It took me about 3 hours to do the discussion, the career module, and the responses all together. Now let's talk about milestone 2 because it's heavy. It is. And I'm going to refer back to this chart here because there's so much going on in such a small amount of time that I need to have a chart in order to get my point across to you guys. You guys have to know that I did have spring break during this month. So let me go ahead and tell you where spring break was. Spring break happened in the middle of lesson 2. Spring break started here, went all through the next week, and ended on that Sunday. So spring break end. That's spring break. I theorized that milestone 2 was due on the day it was because they wanted to give you 7 in-session school days to work on it. So milestone 2 was due on the Tuesday back from spring break. So like I said, I think they wanted to give you 7 in-session days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but spring break cut it off, so it comes back 6, 7. That's my theory of why it was due there. If you're taking this class not during a spring break or any kind of break, I would be willing to bet that it's probably due here on this Sunday. Let me know if that's the case. I'm just curious for my own curiosity. Anyway, mine was due right here. Now let's talk about stuff and why this is such a time crunch and stuff like that. In week 2, you're making corrections and you're re-rendering things. That's the Maya side of the milestone 2. I went ahead and I was like, okay, knock yourself out took around like 8.5 hours to render. Trash can took around 14. Door kick took around 22. And Froggy in the week 4 portfolio 6 took about 2 days. I was like, okay, let me think about this. I did the math and I was like, this 5 days is probably what I'll need to comfortably render these out. So I was like, okay, if it's due on this Tuesday, I want my render to end the Monday before because there's other things to do. It's not just to render and turn it in. So I want my render to end here and I need about 5 days to render things. So I just counted backwards. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I knew that that Thursday during my spring break, I would have to start my render, probably around the midnight area. I need to make all my corrections and have my render going at least by midnight between Wednesday and Thursday. So that was my plan, so I did my best to stick to it. So I knew that I had until Wednesday night, so I had about 8.5 days to get my corrections done. Which if you think about it, getting my feedback midday Tuesday, because that's when I got it, and having it due 2 weeks later is friggin' insane, and it's awesome. If you don't have spring break and it is due here, wow. I'll explain that here in a little bit. Anyway, what corrections did I have to make? So to my trash can lid, it said smooth out the walk and the jump is a little floaty. So for the walk, I deleted just about every frame and I pretty much rebuilt my walk. It's a lot smoother, smoothed out my curves, and I like it a lot better. Now, jump is floaty. I thought he was talking like, it didn't seem like he had enough power to jump and it just seemed like he was walking and floated up. So during my walk, I added a step, like a little hop. He's like in the air for 1 frame. Little hop, and I was like, okay, now he has enough. An anticipation kind of jump. Little jump anticipated the big jump. I was thinking that's what he was talking about. I really needed a video critique, not just a text critique, because I still don't really know. Said it was floaty. I was like, okay, so I'll add some weight coming down so he can go up. That's apparently not what he was talking about. Anyway, that was the trash can lid toss. For the door kick scene, he said move the camera in closer because it kind of seems like you're seeing more of the environment than the animation. So I did that. And then he said make your story make sense. Now, I was like, how the heck do I make the story make sense? Because I've, since Portfolio 5, just been saying, oh, there's a guy, he's walking, he sees something in the building, he's like, what the heck is that? He's got to get in there, kick down the door, then all is good. But I was like, okay, so how do I convey that? How do I show it rather than just know it? Because I can know it, but you guys can't. How do I show this? So what I did was I imported 2 other cool sport rigs, stuck them inside the building, and used my dagger that I made in model creation, which was my month 5, brought that in and gave it to the stabby guy. And then I was animating for a little bit, and I said, okay, I really just need reference. So what I did was in my bathrobe, because I do a lot of homework in my bathrobe, I filmed myself doing the stabby motions, and I filmed myself in the help motions, and I very poorly just stuck them together, hoping to sync up the movements a little bit, like when he comes to stab, help me goes back and stuff like that. I wasn't trying to make it look pretty, I just needed a reference. So that's what I did there, and I used that as my reference to animate these 2, and I think it looked pretty good. Yeah, and then he said my slouch is bad, and I didn't notice how bad it was until I looked at it. So like, if this is him standing up and this is him slouching, I had him like this. So I fixed it. The knock yourself out scene was too dark, and then to all of the scenes, I just added more color. So I was able to actually finish adding the color Wednesday night. So I finished color on Wednesday night, and it had to at least start the render at midnight on Thursday. So I was like, okay, I know I need about 5 days, but I want to have my renders going while I'm not home, and I want to have them end while I am home. Because I had 4 days of work in this 5-day span, how can I best plan this out and use my time management skills so I can start a render when one ends within 30 minutes of it ending? And I'm not like, okay, I get off at 11 and my render ends at 10:55. I'm like, I don't even want 5 minutes of time wasted. What I did was I opened up each scene Wednesday night, and I rendered out the first frame from each. I found that my trash can lid scene would, 1 frame took 5.5 minutes to render. At 195 frames, puts me just under 18 hours. You can see that. My door kick scene, 1 frame took 6 minutes, so I was like, okay, 240 frames, 24 hours. My knock yourself out scene, 1 frame took 3 minutes, 185 frames, 9 hours, 15 minutes-ish. Then my froggy, 1 frame took 14.5 minutes, 230 frames, that puts me at 55 hours, 35-ish minutes. So I said, okay, I've got enough time set aside, because, here it is, Wednesday night. I then went even further, writing at the top the name of the animation and how much time it's going to need. And I even then said, okay, at 10:40 on Wednesday night, I'm starting the knock yourself out scene. That'll be done at 8 a.m. Thursday morning, and then at 8:30 I will have started the froggy scene. And then I just kept it going. I was like, I'm not going to be home during this time, so I'm going to start an animation that's going to go past that time and end when I am home. Highly recommend breaking it down like this. I figured out that I was going to be doing 107 hours and 5 minutes of renders in a 108 hour 40 minute time frame, and the difference in time is just because I set aside 30-ish minutes between each animation in order for me to make sure the lighting is still nice and all that. Double check all my settings, and it actually got done Monday midday around like 1 or so. So it was like, awesome, we're on track, we're gonna get done. I've still got a day and a half before my milestone 2 is due. It's great. All is going according to plan. Actually, some of the animations went faster because I guessed, maybe around 107 hours, 5 minutes of rendering. It took 97 hours and 25 minutes for everything to render. Some frames, I guess, rendered faster than others, so it just really worked, and it was awesome. So also, on top of that, while the first one was rendering, the knock yourself out, I went through and I was like, okay, what are the file names? So that I'm not wasting time looking. I was like, oh, which file? Because I saved them as like file 1, file 2. I just do iterations. So I was like, okay, trash can lid, that's file 209. Door kick, that's file 217. Knock yourself out, file 53. Froggy, file 166. I wrote down the files, so I was like, I don't even have to waste time looking. I can just grab the number and go. And also, since Knock Yourself Out and Froggy have audio, I wrote down what frame the audio starts. So Knock Yourself Out, frame 15, Froggy, frame 6. So I don't have to open up Maya when I'm in After Effects putting things together. I don't have to open it up and be like, what frame did it start on? Or I don't have to waste time being like, okay, does this line up? I know what frame it starts right away. So have sticky notes ready. That's a tip. I know it might seem over complicated or over thought out, but it really did friggin' save me in terms of my time management. writing all of these notes before starting my renders so that I can go into After Effects confident knowing what frame things start on. I know my lip sync is going to line up. I know my renders are going to continue to render while I'm not home, and they're going to stop while I am home so I can start a new one. It was just a very thoughtful week. You have to be very mindful of what's going on your computer. You got to know when things are going to start, when things are going to end, and put some time into thinking about it. Wow, I rambled for so long on that. But I really hope it made sense, because it's a very important, gotta get this across to you. If you haven't figured it out, this video is just gonna be a lot longer than normally. After all those were rendered, I got into After Effects, put everything together, used my notes to know when my audio starts, and then I made my demo reel. I've got it, we're all good. The next part of your assignment is to go to Artstation and personalize your page, your portfolio on there. So you have to upload your individual animations, as well as your newly made demo reel. Then you have to use folders and make everything look nice and professional and everything. Then you have to have a resume. So I went through Career Module 6, which is called Resume, or Writing a Resume or whatever. I did that. There's a summary section on Artstation and a resume upload section. In the resume upload section, at minimum, you have to be a Plus member, or a Pro member, I guess, but at minimum a Plus, and it's like 10 bucks, and I was like, dang it, I have to spend 10 bucks to upload a resume on here? So I went ahead and paid the Artstation 10 bucks to become a Plus member and upload my resume to the resume section. I need to interject right here. I did pay the $10 to become a Plus member and upload my resume to the resume section, but I forgot to mention later on that in lesson 4, your discussion when you do have to touch up your Artstation, I got my feedback from lesson 2, and the professor said, don't put your resume in the resume section because it's an outside document that they have to download. Just put it in the summary section and just put it there, which I really wish I would have known sooner, so I didn't waste 10 bucks, but now you guys know. Now with my Artstation portfolio personalized and awesome saucemed, I've got my resume on there, got my resume in the resume section. Now it's time for the punch list. So you take your current demo reel, of course you upload it to your thread on the 3D Arts forum, post all of your old critiques, all of your old feedback, as well as the new one from lesson 1, and you upload that on your 3D Arts forum thread. And then you take the link to your Artstation and the link to your 3D Arts forum thread, put them both in a PDF file and upload that to FSO. That's your milestone 2. That's a friggin' lot. And I spent 42 hours and 54 minutes of working on milestone 2 and 97 hours, 25 minutes rendering milestone 2 for a total time in milestone 2 of 140 hours and 19 minutes. Granted, I only worked actively for 42 hours and 54 minutes, and 97 hours and 25 minutes of that was rendering, but I still had to find 140 hours and 19 minutes in this time. Now granted, spring break was in here and that helped so much. So let me explain how I could not have gotten this done in time without spring break. So what color says, hey, I wouldn't have gotten this done in time? Pink says that. So in a hypothetical world, we're gonna say lesson 2 start. Spring break was here, so we had 7 in-session days. So let's just act like spring break's not there, and we do have those 7 in-session days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would not have gotten this done in time. Feedback came in Tuesday at 12:36 p.m. I had to find 140 hours 19 minutes of time, right? That is a total of 5.8 days. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 12:36, like the back half right here. That's 0.5 days. That's 0.5 days. I needed 0.8 according to my math. So there's 0.3 worth of a day that I would have been short and would have had to cut on something. So I just feel like without spring break there, I would not have gotten this done in time. Granted, I don't know for a fact if it is due on that Sunday. For people that don't have spring break, I'm just concerned for you, I guess, because without spring break, I would not have been able to get that done. Maybe I'm way overthinking this. Maybe I did spend too much time. Maybe my froggy scene is really weird and I don't know why it takes 2.5 days to render, but I know I would not have gotten this milestone 2 done without spring break. That's a known fact in my mind and heart. So I got a 90% on my milestone 2. I'm okay with that. So yeah, let's just keep going. Lesson 3. All you have in your lesson 3 is a discussion. And that discussion, for me, was due here. Discussion due. The day after milestone 2 was due. So I'm okay with that. It's just a discussion. So what is it? It's called career preparedness. So you have to write a resume, which I already did for milestone 2, so it wasn't a huge deal. But then you also had to create a cover letter and write it to a company who has an open position right now. So that's kind of cool. I spent 5 hours, 53 minutes on this assignment because I was looking for a job. I was writing my company cover letter, had to transfer my resume from a Photoshop PDF to a Word document, which there was a little bit of transportation issue or whatever. Overall, like I said, I spent just under 6 hours on it and I got a 90%. I'm happy with it. 90%. I'm okay with that. And that's all you had for lesson 3. Lesson 4. Let's grab a new color for lesson 4. You've got your professionalism, a discussion, and milestone 3. It's weird to think that milestone 3 is in lesson 4 in the 4th week, but I mean, you know, just roll with it. So let's do it. Professionalism, check it off. You're good. Okay, so discussion and milestone 3 were both due the Wednesday after lesson 3 was due. And the student showcase was right here that Friday. And I'll talk about this here in a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about milestone 3 because you have to do that before you can do the discussion. Okay, milestone 3 is called Demo Reel Showcase. And I got my feedback for milestone 2 on Thursday, around midday. Here's what I was told. I was told for the trash can lid, there's still too much time in the air when he jumps and he's above the stairs to when he lands on the ground. What I did was I was like, okay, maybe he is in the air a little too long. So I took out 7 frames, more than a quarter of a second from his jump, and I was like, wow, this feels a lot better. But I got back in my critique, like after I turned in milestone 3, and he said, that didn't help at all. You know, it just didn't help. Maybe in future work for your demo reel, take this scene out and replace it with something else. So I was like, okay. I very obviously needed some sort of video critique because throughout the whole month he's been telling me, you know, he seems too floaty. So I've added an anticipation to his jump to make him have more weight, give him power to get up there. I've taken out frames to give his overall jump more weight. So clearly I needed a little bit of help in which a video critique may have done the trick, but it's text feedback, so know that. Then the door kick. He said, okay, I really like the story you've developed with the 2 guys inside, but you need to get him inside faster. I don't feel like he has the drive to intervene with the scene. He's just like, whoa, what's that? Jump. Let me stand here for a second and then I'll kick the door in and go get you. So I said, okay, you know what? I see that. He needs to get inside a lot faster. So I went outside and I got on the ground as if I had just jumped and rolled. I was like, okay, I'm gonna run and get through this door fast. So that's what I did, and I used this as my reference, get my character inside faster. And I've never done a run before, but I really like the way this one looks. So I'm happy with that. I deleted frames 122 to 227 for the main character, and I just brought everything a lot closer. I deleted frames 122 to 227, that's over 100 frames, and I replaced it with 30 frames worth of a run. And then with the Froggy scene, add more buildings, fill in that empty universe space. So I did that, I just copied the building, stuck it over there. Now, unfortunately though, I didn't see this coming. This added an entire day to the re-render of this project. And I have no clue why this scene is so big. Did I set it up wrong? I don't know. I've gone through and I made sure it has the same settings as my other 3 scenes, and they all render within a day. So I'm like, why does this scene take so friggin' long? It took 69 hours to render this Froggy scene. It went from like 55 hours to 69 just because I duplicated the building. What the friggin' heck? So I'm not sure why. I don't know, but I am hopefully done with this scene. So yeah, I did all that, I rendered everything out, I remade my demo reel for the final time. My official demo reel is the one you guys saw. Switched out my trash can lid toss, my door kick scene, which I've now named Intervene, because there's no longer a door kick in the scene, and Froggy. I put those 3 on Artstation. I just swapped them out with their previous versions, as well as my new demo reel took the place of my old demo reel on Artstation. I then took my demo reel and all of my past critiques, put that on the 3D Arts forum thread, and that was my milestone 3. Going back to the discussion for lesson 4, you have to have your milestone 3 done because you have to have all of your stuff on Artstation. Okay, let's do it. You post your Artstation page link in the discussion, and then you just discuss your career plans. You respond to 3 students, and that is pretty much it. I got a 100 on the discussion and a 92 on milestone 3. In milestone 3, I spent 12 hours, 18 minutes working on like fixing the animations, adding the building and stuff like that, making the run, taking out the 7 frames, and it took 109 hours and 4 minutes to render, which is so friggin' crazy, because I'm like, what the heck, man? That gives me a total for lesson 4 of 121 hours and 22 minutes, and I can't imagine doing another render, like if I had to re-render the knock yourself out scene, because let's go back to this, right? So I got my critique midday Thursday. Unfortunately, I'm a closer on Thursdays, so I wasn't able to work the rest of that time. So I started bright and early Friday, so I had to start my renders here in order to get things going, because my froggy scene took pretty much 3 days, 69 hours. So, and then my trash can lid scene and my intervene scene took about 18 hours each. So I knew I had to start my render here, and my render ended midday Wednesday when I had the rest of milestone 3 to do. So it's just friggin' crazy how that all happened. So I had to get all of my work done on Friday. That's why I only spent 12 hours 18 minutes working on my animations and stuff, and then everything on the Artstation page and the discussion I did in the back half of Wednesday here. And goodness, it was a friggin' crazy 121 hours 22 minutes for lesson 4. Anyway, for the month total, in terms of work, like actively working, I spent 74 hours 51 minutes. It's a little higher than most classes, but it's still a good amount, right? Now my total render time was 250 hours 59 minutes. I don't know why the heck my froggy scene is such a render heavy scene. Is the geometry just big? I'm not sure. Maybe. That's my prevailing theory, but all of the settings are the exact same as my previous 3 renders, and they all render, like I said before, within a day. So I don't get it. That gives me a month total between work and render of 325 hours, 50 minutes, easily the class that has the most time I have to find within a month. Granted, I'm not actively working for 250 hours, 59 minutes, that's all render, but I still have to find that time within my week and within my month to get that stuff rendered. And I'm happy to say I was able to do that every time except for that milestone 1 froggy. And it didn't even hurt my grade that much that I know of. So I'm really happy about that. But that is a lot of work time, let me tell you. I hope you now understand why I had to have this chart here, because wow, that is a lot of explaining a lot of different due dates, and I just wanted to show you rather than only tell you. So let's talk about the teacher a little bit. We'll do tips and in short, and we'll get on out of here. Alrighty. Teacher, I don't know if this is the teacher's thing or all teachers are like this, or if it's just the one I got, but I wish there were video critiques, not solely just text, but that's what he did, that's what he provided for me, and I did my best with what I got. Weirdly enough, project and portfolio 4, 5, and 6 all had the same online instructor. This one is different, and that's why like I was able to get 95-ish in portfolio 4, 5, and 6, and in this one, week 1, he was like, okay, no, 86%. It's almost like, you know, a new boss comes in and he doesn't really exactly like the work that the old boss was having you do, so he's like, okay, we gotta change a lot of things. That's what it felt like, because I was animating to other instructors' preferences and likes in terms of animation, and now I have to take all of those almost final animations and rework a lot of them. Good thing about the feedback being in text is that he is detailed. He's not just like, that's bad. The only thing I struggled with was him saying the floaty thing in the trash can lid toss scene. I still don't really know what he's talking about in terms of it floating. Maybe you guys do. I don't. Tips. Get working ASAP. In every single week, every single lesson, get working ASAP, because your renders are going to take a long time. I would recommend doing all of your scene setup, your lighting, all of your coloring, your animation fixing, all of that before you do any rendering. In week 1, I did scene setup, render, scene setup, render. I mean, I guess it worked, but it didn't really work because I was like, I'm in the mood to work, but now I gotta render. Now this one, maybe I'm not in as great of a mood to work, but I still gotta work and get the render going. So it's like, do all of your work in a block. Block it out. Do it all, switch between all your scenes and do all the work. And then you can just chill back and render for a few days. And then I would say probably my last tip is to render out 1 frame from each of your scenes, figure out an average estimate time of how long it's gonna take you, and then I would very much recommend a detailed plan. Even if you go as far as I do, breaking it down to the half hour. On Wednesday at 10:40, start Knock Yourself Out. Thursday, 8 a.m., Knock Yourself Out will be done. Thursday, 8:30 a.m., start Froggy. You know, something like that. Maybe not as detailed, but by golly, you better plan that to make sure your renders end while you are home. Otherwise, you're gonna have a difficult time. Also, week 2, that's gonna be a heavy week, so just know that. In short, let's just do an in short. You have 8 assignments throughout the month, 4 discussions, 3 milestones, and a professionalism. Milestone 1 is due as most milestone 1s are due. Milestone 2 for me was due after spring break during, I mean, technically the 4th week I've been in this class, but if you take out spring break, it was due during the 3rd in-session week. It was really weird, but I still had 7 in-session days to work on it. If you're in this class and you don't have a spring break in the middle, briefly tell me like how's the scheduling work, because I'm just really curious. This is a very chaotic schedule, to say the least, nothing like any class we've had before. That leads me into this. There are scattered due dates. Double check all of your stuff. It's not always Sunday, Wednesday again, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's really weird. The feedback is in text, not videos. Lesson 1, discussion branding. And then you have a video review for your milestone. Lesson 2, super heavy. Interview skills and experience is your discussion. And it's like a portfolio review, pretty much get your portfolio together, Artstation, 3D Arts forum thread. Lesson 3, super light, bounce back, you know? Resume and cover letter. And lesson 4, exit interview and career plans. And that's pretty much your in short. Now I do want to touch upon the student showcase. I have no idea what the heck it was or was not, because lesson 4 milestone was called milestone 3 student showcase or something along that line. As an online student, it said online students demo reels will be played in the same room as campus students, but with what's going on, the pandemic and everything, I don't know if they just canceled the student showcase. I don't know if they did an online thing. I haven't heard jack about it. When you turn in your milestone 3, they say give us the link to your 3D Arts forum thread, but also upload your video to FSO directly via a QuickTime file or something so they can download it and play it. I don't know. I don't know if the student showcase thing even happened. Is campus still closed? I think it's closed to the end of May, so maybe it just didn't happen. I have no idea. I'm here in Indiana. I don't know. So that is pretty much it for Project and Portfolio 7. I still have maybe 3 or 4-ish full set videos I'm gonna make pretty much within this week. So stay tuned for those guys. And that is pretty much it for this one. My last full set experience video, not my last full set video quite yet. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. If you would please like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. See you guys later.